Now JD Vance's sequel could see him become vice president. And who knows where else from there, hey? I caught up with Kristin Tate to get her thoughts on Trump's selection as a running mate.
Look, you can learn everything you need to know about JD Vance by watching the left's reaction to his having been named as Trump's VP. There has just been a complete meltdown over this announcement, Chris. The Biden re-election effort put out an official statement saying Vance will bend over backwards to enable Trump. You're seeing the talking heads on CNN lose their minds. I saw Van Jones saying that actually JD Vance is much more dangerous than Donald Trump. So they're having a complete meltdown, which tells you that Trump absolutely picked the correct candidate here. JD Vance has been a winner in the Senate. Yes, he's very young. He'll be the first millennial, actually, to ever be on a ticket like this. But he has shown that he really understands America first. He understands the MAGA movement. And like you, I've been following him for a while, and it's been interesting to watch him evolve. He was actually pretty anti-Trump back in 2016. He even wrote a really kind of blistering piece in The Atlantic at the time called The Opioid of the Masses, denouncing Trump. And he's come a long way since then. He sure has. Really get it.
He's an incredible,
he's great on immigration.
Yeah, he is this American success story. He grew up in a really working class environment and a great disadvantage, but he made good. He joined the Marines. He went to university. He got involved in business. He wrote this fantastic memoir, of course, in Hillbilly Elegy. And the point is, he's not much younger than Barack Obama was when he became president, and certainly he has as much experience, probably more experience, certainly in business than Barack Obama had. Barack Obama never ran a government before becoming president. And on that point, you mentioned that he was very critical of Trump Mark I, if you like. JD Vance was asked about that today, and I thought his response was very good. Let's have a look.
I don't hide from that. I was certainly skeptical of Donald Trump in 2016, but President Trump was a great president, and he changed my mind. I think he changed the minds of a lot of Americans because, again, he delivered that peace and prosperity. If you go back to what I thought in 2016, another thing that was going on, Sean, is I bought into the media's lies and distortions. I bought into this idea that somehow he was going to be so different, a terrible threat to democracy. It was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. There he goes. He takes what's seen as a negative and, like a good politician, gets onto the front foot and makes a good point on behalf of Donald Trump.
It's actually really refreshing as well to hear someone in public office admit that they changed their minds on something, and that's okay. I mean, everybody changes their minds on all kinds of things, and he explains his reasons for changing his mind. Trump was in office and showed through his actions that he was a very successful president who had a good grasp on policies that lift America up. So JD Vance, like the rest of us, were able to see the impacts of those policies, and now he's fully on board, especially with immigration, Chris, which is so key. By choosing JD Vance, Trump is sending a message to the voters that immigration is going to be key. He says he wants to enact the largest deportation in American history with the illegal immigrants that have come in under Biden. And this is another way that he has signaled that to us, that he means business.
All right, let's have a look at Joe Biden. He's given a television interview. These are always fraught experiences for him. I mentioned on the show last night his bullseye comments. He was asked about that. Let's have a look at how the president actually deals with that bullseye comment that was made last week to donors.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
I mean, Kristin, the point here is that Joe Biden still won't apologise or step down from the inflammatory language he's been using. I mean, he says there's a mistake. Well, it would have been worse to say crosshairs, but bullseye was all right. He's still saying that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, which is a pretty weird way to look at an election. He doesn't get to be president without winning in a democratic contest. What's he going to do from here, Joe Biden, to pull back from some of his rhetoric?
Well, he is in a pretty bad situation right now, Chris, and I don't know what he's going to do because there's nothing he can do that will make any sense. He's been telling his supporters for years now that Trump is this big threat to democracy and essentially Hitler. And all of a sudden now he's saying, oh, political violence is never okay. I wish him a speedy recovery. But you know, this answer he gave, like so many others, they're just a mess of bumbling. And the selection by Donald Trump of JD Vance, who's young, as you mentioned, just makes Joe Biden look even more like a feeble, bumbling, elderly oaf. It makes it even worse for Biden's ticket. That is why I keep coming back to this idea of replacing Joe Biden, which I think will be intensified now. Some people are saying, oh, they're going to do away with that effort. I don't think so. The effort might not be in public as much anymore. They might not talk about it loudly, but I still suspect, as I know you have for a long time, that he will not be the eventual nominee.
Yeah, it just seems it seems there's no other option. I know there are barriers. I know that this is not easy. Maybe they renominate him at their convention and then replace him, because then they can have the Democratic National Convention just pick a ticket. But what we're seeing at the moment, Kristin, with all the focus on the Republican convention, it's as if the country's moved on. This is the show now, Donald Trump and JD Vance and what they're going to do. And Joe Biden's almost a subplot in the White House watching on.
Yes, the Republican convention is not really a political event. It's a moment of unity for this country. You'll notice they keep coming back at the convention to this idea of unity following the horrific assassination attempt on Donald Trump. So you're right, it does seem as though the nation has moved on. But look, a few months in politics, as you well know, Chris, is an eternity. Anything could happen. The left despises Donald Trump with a seething hatred, and they will do whatever they can to make sure that he does not become president. So we have no idea what's going to happen between now and then. I don't think Republicans should get too comfortable thinking Trump has this all wrapped up.
Exactly. In volatile times, expect more volatility. Thanks so much for joining us, Kristin. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Chris.